And you're just like, okay, let me just go to the next page. Can we just go to the next page? And then the night goes by.
Hello viewers, thanks for watching the very first episode of Tell a Story Conversations, and I'm here with our very first guest, Pal Kasirye. Hi Pal.
Hi.
So Pal, tell us a little about yourself.
I am 19. I'm in the university right now in Switzerland, and I love writing. It's my life. And I started writing when I was 5 years old, and until now it's like everything that I do.
What kind of writing do you do?
I'm more of a creative writer, but I write a lot of academic work because I'm in the university, and I feel like I do a lot more creative work than academic, so I'm more of a creative writer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What fuels your love for writing?
Well, when I was 6 years old, my mom used to force me to write in my diary every day, and it became a habit until I realized that it was an important part of my routine. And as I got older and I started having challenges and issues with my relationships and my friendships, I realized that writing was an escape for me. And it felt like I could kind of leave my body and just observe what's happening in my life through the writing. So I would write everything that I feel, all my emotions, then the next day I would come and read it. Then I would have a great revelation of actually what it is that I'm feeling, and it helped me to just self-evaluate and to see what it is I want to do. And it's helped me really analyze my life. I have journal pages from the time I was 12, my first boyfriend, my first fight, my first this, and it's so beautiful to read it, and it's like my life is a beautiful story. And writing to me now means a lot more than it should, I think. It's a recreational thing for me. Most people turn to alcohol or drugs or whatever. I turn to writing to help me process emotion, to help me feel better. I would get so deep in a book that if something bad happens, I would cry. I would actually have tears in my eyes. Then someone would open the door in my room and I'm just like, oh, whoa, like this is not real.
Yes.
And I feel like it was so healthy for me to just dissociate from my reality sometimes, and that's, you know what, how it feels when you're watching a good series, like a really good series, you can't think of anything else.
Yes.
That is how I feel when I'm in a good book. And I've always wondered, what does it take for me to write something that makes somebody feel like they're dissociating, like they feel like, I want people to read my books and feel like they are escaping from their own reality and getting to experience something beautiful that I've created in my mind. I feel like a lot of negative emotion has been healthily channeled into my writing. Because I'm a very dramatic person, so it goes straight into my writing, and it helps me not to lash out immediately at people. And it's just a beautiful experience, and I would agree with that person that it's like a therapy.
That's why I kind of like that Facebook feature, memories, because at times Facebook brings back things from the past, things
like 4 years ago, and you're just like,
and you're like, wow, I've actually changed from back then. So what makes a great story? I want to feel like it's real. I need to be able to relate to characters, and I just need to escape from my reality. That's what I want. I don't want a story that feels like it's cheesy, like I can expect what's going to happen. I know what he's going to say next. I know what she's going to say next. That's such a snooze fest. I really want my mind to be blown. I want the writer to play with my mind and make me feel like he's in control or she is just God, in a sense. There was one book I read, and Atonement left me in a state of complete denial. I finished the book and I was angry at the writer for confusing me so much, and then reaching the end and tearing everything that I thought apart. And I just need to reach the end of a good story and feel like I've lost a good friend. You know, like, you know that feeling when you finish the book and you feel sad? I need to feel sad. Or you wish it could continue
Exactly.
forever.
Like, you sent me this story about this poor man who was looking for a job and who was going to become a thief. I was so pissed that you didn't continue. I was just like, how can you do this to me? What is going to happen? Is he going to become a criminal? I want to know. And I need a story to make me feel that way. And I don't feel like there's a very exact criteria for me.
True.
I like creativity, but that's my main thing. I just need to feel something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much the same for me. I think I'm drawn a lot to books with action and thrillers. I always need to feel like I'm on the edge of my seat.
Same, yeah.
Like, there have been times I've gotten certain books and it's 3:30 a.m. in the morning.
And you're just like, okay, let me just go to the next page. Let me just go to the next page, you know? And then the night goes by and you just have no explanation because you can't explain to somebody that I've been reading.
Yes.
And that's the problem my mom had as well, because she used to be kicked out of class because she would be reading a novel instead of paying attention.
Yes.
And I think she passed that on to me because I'm very intense when I read a book. Like, I literally won't listen to anything you're saying if it's good.
Yes.
So,
So for me, yes, that's I think that makes a great story. I think also kind of like what you said already is just that feeling that I'm being taken to a different place, or it needs to be, it feels real enough that I'm not here anymore. I need to feel like I'm walking maybe the streets of Rome, or I'm taking 5 years back, I'm taking 20 years into the future.
That's amazing,
In what ways has school influenced your love for writing?
School hasn't influenced it at all. I think it has just made my writing better. Because I was an ACE student, so grammar was such a big thing. And my grammar level right now is just incredible. And it makes me it makes my writing easy, because I know how to play with words and play with my vocabulary and phrase a sentence in a certain way that will make you go, whoa, you know. And I feel like that's how school has benefited me, but I don't think it has influenced me per se.
From my perspective, I think the good thing that came for me from being part of accelerated Christian education is one time we were at school, or even in one of the English places there, and we were asked to write a poem. Like, that was the thing that you had to do as part of your pacework for the next couple of paces. So I was there thinking to myself,
how do I
never done this? I hate writing essays, and then I'm like, no, I can't run away from this. But the moment I took up the challenge, put down one word, some of the poems or some of the exercises, you have to make sure every word at the end rhymes in a certain way, or
it's a challenge.
Have things like that. But that might be glad to do it. The first time I did it, I was like, this is
fun.
This is actually cool. I'm like, I could actually do this. And then I'm a big fan of hip hop music.
Same.
And the reason I like hip hop music is for that same reason.
The flow and the rhythm.
Yes, the flow, the rhythm, the rhyme, at the end of a lot of phrases. So then out of that, then I grew into, I'm doing a lot of fiction right now, and then
you have met a writer whose grammar isn't up to par, right?
Yes, quite a number.
And somebody who has a very limited vocabulary cannot reach a certain level of writing.
True.
And I've met a lot of them because I'm an essay writing tutor, and I look at this kid and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, he has excellent content, but he doesn't know how to spell the word content. And it makes communication difficult.
True.
So I feel like writers need to take it seriously. It's a technicality. Learning English and perfecting it is difficult, but it's so worth it. You know?
It is. And even in Dramatica split storytelling into the structure and then expression.
The sentence structure or the story structure?
Story structure. Dramatica splits storytelling into the story structure and then expression. So as you've said, you can still have the structure right, the thematics and all of that, but if your expression is not up to par, then
it loses the effect. It really does, because I think one of the most powerful tools of writing is the dictionary and the thesaurus. Oh my God. It's incredible to just highlight a word and find 90 different ways to put it. And you can say one word differently and it just has more effect, more meaning, more oomph. And I think that's really important.
And then, are there aspects of storytelling that can be learned?
Yes, the technicalities. I feel like the technicalities of grammar and vocabulary can be learned. but I'm a strong disbeliever in too much structure.
True.
Have you ever read a story that starts from the end and goes back to the beginning? I've done that.
In a sense, yes.
Oh, it's amazing. Or have you watched the series where they take you to 5 years later first, and then they take you back to what happened?
Yes.
And I feel like creative writing is just that, creative writing. And I don't feel like you can teach somebody to tell a story. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just like to see where people are going to take their stories.
Yes.
And I feel like the most technical part is just grammar and vocabulary. And then the rest, like, do what you will. Just make the story make sense in the end, yeah.
I think maybe to add to that, not to maybe go against anything that you said, but
you can have a counter opinion.
Yes, like over time, I think over time, starting with Aristotle is uncredited with discovering the dramatic structure which has been used for ages, where you have the exposition, then you have the rising action, climax, and then what do you call that? The resolution.
Interesting, because I've read many books that start with a climax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not really that you move in that order, but
but those should be in the story.
He discovered those and kind of said, putting these components in a story can make a story work, whether the resolution comes first or they come in any order. Then he defined a tragedy, he defined the comedy.
That was Aristotle, right?
Yes, Aristotle. Then over time, different writers, people have built on those theories to create different kind of story structures. And so there's so many story structures out there. I think there are about 6 that are predominant, especially in the US, that are used for storytelling. And then over time, kind of building off of that foundation, people began to discover characters. The characters can have a psychology. Your characters can have needs. Your characters can have wants. And again, there are 2 types of writers. Some people are structuralists. Some are structuralists.
You're a structuralist,
yes,
I can tell.
Like for me, everything has to be planned. Like if I put the first sentence down, I've done a lot of planning. I plan my characters, the plot, the description, how everything should go.
What about the psychology of your characters? Do you plan that beforehand as well?
Yes, that's also part of the psychology, and there are different tools out there.
Writers are very interesting because they have different approaches to writing, and I respect every single kind.
Yes.
Mine is, I focus so much on the psyche of my characters.
Yes.
So much. Like, I can take you deep into what they're feeling and all of that, until I realize that I need to get into action. I need to have a dialogue, and there are those who only do dialogue. Then there are those who can describe the color of the tree and the way the road was like, and like the weather and how the clouds look. And I don't do that. I'm more descriptive about people's psychological aspects.
Yes. Yeah. And then also part of the evolution of storytelling also came from psychology. Like different writers looked at psychology, and generally one of the arguably the most important aspect of storytelling is probably the characters themselves. And so
arguably, I mean, it's obvious.
It's obvious.
What's the story without the characters? What is it then?
It's true. It's the most. That's why I keep saying arguably, because someone would say maybe it's plot, or maybe someone would say maybe it's the
but there
message.
can't be plot without the characters.
True.
You know, it's like you've lost the essence.
Yes, and part of what has led to more sophisticated character development over time, I think Americans have actually been the ones who've mechanized a lot of storytelling. I think generally in Europe, in the UK, the convention is still to be more, what's the word, ethereal, creative, just to go and how you feel. Americans have more of mechanized storytelling, which has also been a good thing. It has led to different variations, genres, and all these things happen in fiction. But one of the things they did was to look at psychology, look at writings by Sigmund Freud. Then there was Carl Jung, and they began to apply a lot of what Carl Jung would say about human behavior to make fiction more believable. And actually, I think it's actually said, who is it? Like for the Star Wars movie, came from a theory I think called the hero's journey, and then the hero's journey the person who developed it from studying Carl Jung, and then found a way to apply whatever Carl Jung was saying about human behavior into the realm of storytelling. So I think at the end of the day, it's about finding what works for you. So others will feel like I can't know how everything is going to happen in my story. Others feel like let me just start and then go and then it will figure itself out.
Okay.
Yes, but I think there'll always be a debate. Some people feel too much structure is bad. Again, it's how you can actually shift the structure, I believe, or even break the structure how you want. Others are like, I just have a story in my head and I can put down 100,000 words, 20,000 words before I try to think logically about what I've put down. Yeah. Yes, so that's segment 1.